Yes, I feel like farmers and fishermen get this better than most because as well as they are well prepared, situated, and ready in the season, they also depend and know that they depend on so many things as such as the weather, the animals, the ocean, what it's doing. And so in that way, not that you don't have to work really hard or you don't have to really give it your all, but at the same time, also understanding the everything's shifting and then just being patient and waiting.
Welcome to The Climb, where I help Christian men live fully, lead boldly, and leave a legacy that matters. I'm your host, Teko Bailey, husband, father, life coach, and your guide in the climb. Whether you're navigating fatherhood, building a business, or simply longing to live more purpose, this is a space to rise.
It's really good having you here on The Climb, Chase. Bringing some of the Hawaiian vibes to the show, and you
Yes.
know, come on, just good music and good vibes. But Olelo, you guys, it's the band that's called Olelo, right?
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about how the name came about and maybe when the band actually started.
Okay, so the name, it all came from marketing.
Okay.
So my brother and I, we on the business end of the music world, we wrote with a band, an artist called Simmel, and he's from Seattle. And long story short, we wrote music for film purposes, and we never thought it would do anything. We basically wrote a bunch of songs for this artist, and his music got received for some Netflix films and things like that. And he made a lot of money. And it was kind of funny because me and my brother, after we wrote and did some stuff for him, we were like, wow, like we can sing like him, and we can, like, why don't we just make our own music?
Come
And
on.
his name was, and so I thought, oh man, we're from the Big Island, we're Hawaiian. I thought, oh man, a word which would be cool would be Olelo, and then without explaining it at all, and have people just curious, and so that way we could share a little bit of our culture. And
Yeah,
so, and I looked it up, and there was no name called Olelo, and so I thought, oh man, this would be great because it just kind of, like, when people read the word itself, they go, what is this, if you're not familiar with it?
that's
And
right.
so the idea was it worked really well for marketing, and it also to draw people into a little bit of our culture from Hawaii and the Big Island. So that was the idea.
I like that. I like that. I see. Was it Kilauea that was erupting recently?
Yeah.
Man, that volcano is not gonna stop, is it? It's just spreading and growing the island.
Not gonna stop. It's crazy. We were talking about, my wife and me, the other day. When I was a kid, if you came in as a tourist, you could drive your minivan right up to Kilauea, like, and they had a wooden porch that went right over it. And
No way.
you could just watch the lava. And then one day the wooden porch got blown to pieces by lava. I just thought, wow. And there was
Yeah.
no tourist on it or anything, but I thought, that's crazy that somebody thought that was a good idea.
Well, when you're a local, some of those things just come natural. Like, let's just go see the volcano. I remember when my wife and I think we had just had our first boy, or she was pregnant, and we went up to go see. It was still open that you could go and see some of the lava flowing, and we went up and go see. We're like, we're not gonna miss our chance to go see this, man. So it was such a nice experience, and I can only imagine when you're born on the island, and that's just like a normal thing. You just do your thing and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, the Big Island is a special place. It's hard to explain to people, but I love that island. Born and raised, all my family's there. So
Come
good place
on.
to grow up.
When did music start for you? Was this a family thing, or did you pick it up, or is it just you and your brother who jumped into it, or did you have other siblings who were also involved?
The whole family is pretty kind of kapila, everybody play music in the family. So sisters, brother, I got 8 siblings. So all 5 brothers, and then there's 3 three sisters. Everybody plays music. So kind of been
Nice.
in the family for a long time. Yeah.
Nice.
Rooted.
Take me back to a little bit of that, because today, um, I feel like people only see what's happening now, but they wouldn't know early beginnings. Tell me a little bit of what some of the early beginnings would have looked like. Maybe some of the highlights, memorable moments that really bring joy to you.
Oh, just playing music with my siblings. I since very young, my father played a lot of music, and ever since I was very young, I love to write music, write songs. And so just growing up, all the siblings would play music, but I made it a point, even at a young age, like, I don't know, 13, 10 years old, to write a specific song with each specific. And if they would sing with me, or if I could get them to, not all of us like to sing, not all of them would, but if I could, eventually I did. I marked it all off and got each sibling to have our own song. And even to this day, I have specific siblings with songs. And so it's just been something that has been on my heart and my brother's heart for many, many years. And then it just happened to have some career success on it.
Come
But
on.
been on my heart for many, many years, and my siblings as well. Just long time, always there.
I like that. I like that. I think for every man, there's usually a journey or a part in the climb where we have various challenges, because as we take steps, we find that with every step comes maybe a turn or a curveball that we're not expecting. What was one of those moments for you that was a major setback? And talk to me about how you made it through that time.
Well, we were kind of a very close family at the time, and I think it was my early teens, so I was probably 14. We kind of had a big shift, big wreck in our family, and my father kind of ended up sort of semi, for lack of better words, flying the coop and
Yeah,
had gone. And so my brothers and I, we were building my mom's property. We had moved up with land out in the middle of nowhere, up against Mauna Kea, way up in the woods. And so it was my mom and all of us siblings. And my brothers, we all had to kind of learn construction and build my mom's house. The three of my brothers, Carl included. And we were
yeah,
living in tents at the time for a year, and it was, God did a lot of amazing things, but I think music and God were intertwined in that season of our lives, because we had each other and we built my mom's house, my brothers and I. And right after that, me and my brother Carl started recording music, and then got entrenched in it. But definitely songs and music kind of kept us close, man. That was kind of what sparked. And I wouldn't say just music got us through, but music with a purpose. I always tell people music is like anything else, but without purpose, it's just like anything. It's a
that's
powerful thing, but other than that, that's all it is. But with purpose, it really, our hearts were in it so much, and we needed it so much. And
man.
so that was kind of the gist of it, but getting it through, and ended up building my mom's place. It's still there today, way up Mauka side on the Big
Come on,
Island. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
come
So
on.
that was big.
I love that. It reminds me of a little bit of some of Bob Marley's story, a little bit different from that. But when you talk about music with purpose, I think it's one of the reasons why he got album of the century. I think Exodus was album of the century, and he went through some tough times. The Marley family didn't just become the Marley family because they had life so nice. He went through a lot of challenging seasons, but out of that came something beautiful that the rest of the world is enjoying up to today. And, his children passed on that legacy. And so I think it is important to know why you're doing something and to do it with purpose, so that when you have a legacy, others can build off of it.
Yeah. And speaking of, you brought up legacy. When I reflect back on that time, even though it was a hard time, one of the cool things is we were young boys. And when I say we built our house, we actually had uncles that were from Oahu that flew over every weekend. And we're like, all right, so this is how you use a saw. This is how you do this. Like, and they helped us build my mom's house. And the crazy thing that happened, me and my brother Carl were talking about this the other day, is we fast forward years later, that was 2015, 18 years ago, the fires happened on Maui in Lahaina, which were a huge tragedy over there. Well, my
Yeah.
brother, I didn't get to do this because I was over here in Nashville, Tennessee, but my brothers were one of the first people that ended up flying over to Maui, started on their own time doing what my uncles did for us, just would fly
Wow.
over to Maui, started an organization that blew up just by giving, and raised thousands and thousands of dollars, just like all on nothing, and ended
Wow.
up building for free, completely for free, for the families out in Lahaina. I think it was 50 homes. And it just, we were reflecting on it, that there was this time in our lives where guys poured into us to build our home. And 18, 20 years later, all my brothers, with that in mind, totally 100% pulled on their hearts when they saw the need on Maui. And without a thought, like second thought, they were there. And we were just thought, wow. And no support, didn't have an organization,
Yeah.
just went, and it was made. And now there are people with homes that were 100% material, everything built for free. And we just know that, like, when something happens in your life, there is purpose to it. Always purpose. And so,
That's,
yeah. Like, music and all of that is born out of that. And it's a beautiful thing. So we don't really worry about it.
I love it, man. It's a spirit of generosity, and I think when you've seen something modeled, you know, in your case, what happened for you guys back in the days as your uncle coming over and modeling that for you, it's naturally in the heart that you want to give back to other people. And I think
Naturally.
that pulls a string, man. That pulls a string in the heart. I think, just in general, music is life. Like music, you can't survive without music. And I think you guys carry that with you. You embody that as islanders, and you spread the love, because I think that's what people need more than anything today. It's knowing that others are there for them, and
Hmm.
when you're going through those valley moments, you always want somebody with you to go up the mountainside, helping you up the climb. And that's what, you know, life is all about. Helping someone when they're in that place where they can't do it for themselves.
But yeah, and it enriches your life so much more. You'll be so much more happier when it's given with no strings attached, no nothing, never look back, and then just keep moving forward. It's a richness. There's a richness in the life when you do that. And so it's been a real blessing, man. Nothing but blessings.
In what ways do you think that experience helped to shape you as a dad and just as a citizen in general, having gone through that kind of experience?
I think, men in general, just with the thought in mind, there's too much pressure. I think about how God is outside of time,
Yes,
and we constantly have deadlines and goals set for ourselves. And that whole experience really taught you, like, well, for one, you can't control anything. When you have others serving you so much, you're completely vulnerable and open, and you are depending on somebody else to serve you. And so once you kind of go through that and you realize you lose all control, you lose all these things. One of the things that kind of stuck with me was timing. Like, God's timing is not something that you control. And it kind of feels like it kind of pulses like the ocean, in my experience, when it kind of, the tide comes in and the tide goes out, and you just gotta, like, kind of ride the wave and get ready for it.
that's
But
right.
you really can't worry about the time frame of anything, like all of it. I feel like it's caused me to relax, and where I see others start to kind of freak out and flounder when goals and timelines aren't hit, I am very much patient, and it serves me really well. I can't even I can't even begin to when it actually comes through. It's like, wow, like it's still pleasantly surprised when good things happen, but it definitely taught me to just slow your pace and know that if he's outside of time and he's not worried about it, I don't know why I'm in time that I should worry about it.
So true. I love that you touch on that because it's like my mom would say, put it in God's hands, you know? You can plan and you can plan as much as you want, but it's God that determines what actually succeeds or what areas you succeed in. And so there is a place and a space for planning, but then you
Yes.
hold those plans lightly so that God can move things around and shift it around the way that He wants, because you just never know what the future holds for you.
Yes, I feel like farmers and fishermen get this better than most because
Yeah,
as well as they are well prepared, situated, and ready in the season, they also depend and know that they depend on so many things as such as the weather, the animals, the ocean, what it's doing. And so in that way, not that you don't have to work really hard or and you don't have to really give it your all, but at the
yeah,
same time, also understanding the everything's shifting and then just being patient and waiting. That's what I've really learned is that. And I don't know if you ever picked opihi on the rocks, but in Hawaii, my father used to go down, we would go pick opihi shells on the rocks. And you had to time it really well. When the surf would go out, you go out and you pick the opihi. And then when the surf comes back, you better be off the rocks and away. And like even with the music industry, that's how I've always timed it. Like I have that thought in my head of that kind of fisherman mentality where it's just like the time will come, you just got to be patient, you got to wait, and then when it goes, you got to be ready to go. When the tide goes out, you can't linger, you got to be ready. So there is preparation and hard work involved, but it's not, I think it's not what the world, like we're constantly told to just grind. And like
yeah,
I said, it brings it back to that
yeah.
purpose. It's just being steady and ready and waiting. But when the time comes, then you'll be ready to go. But other than that, that's all you can do is ready yourself. So, but yeah,
Absolutely. I love your analogy because even in farming, you know, seasons are so important. Like if it's time to plant, you can't be reaping, you know. You just have, it's planting season, and even when you plant it, you just have to know that the seeds are going to grow as long as you're watering it, you know the seeds are going to break forth. Who goes back and dig the seeds up to check like is this thing still, is it growing, you know? It takes a certain time for a certain tree to grow, and even once it's burst through the ground, it still needs a certain time frame to produce good fruit. And I
mm,
think for us in our lives, we really have to understand what season we're in. Because if you try to do something in the wrong season, no matter how
it's not
hard,
going to work.
not gonna work. It's
Yeah,
just gonna work. And I think a lot of us are struggling with that right now because there's this tendency that, you know, especially I think because social media made everything available all the time. And so you
mhm.
see people in different seasons and in different phases of their life. You think like, man, I need to be there now. But you didn't see what was happening behind the scenes when they were working and they were plowing and they were digging and they were trying to make it put in the work, put in the effort to get what now you can see. And so social media makes life a little bit tricky and confusing. And there's
Mm,
that missing out a lot.
yes, and I always say it's like you can't get anything done. Like that's why God created a day of rest. You need rest, and without any rest, you can't sustain anything. Like, and I don't know if you know the other part because we do our music thing, but I've been writing songs professionally for many years, and songs is like farming. It's the closest thing I know to farming because it's super weird, dude. Like my wife will know because when the business of it is very strange and how it works, but I will write a song and 7 years down the line it will make a placement in a film or something and it will actually generate a good substantial amount of money. but I won't know for like many, many years. And this has been going on for probably like 15 years now, where it's just
Whoa.
so it's such a, I feel like God creates like songwriters as just the lowest of low, kind of like shepherds, where you really have to just like, I don't know, like you have to not just be crazy, but it's almost like you really have to be dependent on it. And it's so weird. But like I said, I feel like God placed me there for the reason with that mindset, because I think he knew that the temperament had already been positioned from everything else.
That's
So I
right.
see friends that freak out, and the same thing, they're on social media, they're seeing the grind, and they always see people in their best light,
Exactly.
and whatever it is, and I don't know, I've just really just rest really hard, but at the same time, when it's time to work, brah, you better pull up your sleeves and really grind. And that's when the difference makes it all count. But rest, of course,
Yeah.
don't. But I think a lot of it is not so much rest, but we're worried about the timing. The reason that gets us anxiety is that we're worried about, is it the season, is it the timing and everything? But if you kind of reset yourself, center yourself, and get ready, you just have to, you won't know the seasons unless you're looking. You have to
Yeah.
look, rest, see what the situation is, and then go.
So how would you encourage another person who is in, let me say, a tough season? It's because there is a bit of a tug of war between, like, sometimes you're putting in a lot of work, you're not seeing the returns on your investment, and you're like, okay, God, I've done this, I've done that, I'm not seeing the returns yet. How does one keep steady in those seasons? Like what keeps you going? Because you need sustenance, you need money, you need resources. And then maybe there are moments when there's just not enough, but you're putting in the work. And so it's hard. I've heard a lot of guys talk about this, and I've coached different people and worked with different people, where I think that's the middle ground, a very delicate balance. Because I find sometimes when you feel like God isn't working things out for you, then you're like, let me forget about God. Let me just go make this. Let me do it. Let me make it happen, because God
Mm.
is taking too long and his timing isn't working. Have you ever experienced anything like that? Or how do you even juggle that kind of balance between, it's a waiting period, there's the need, and yet you're in that middle ground? How do you encourage somebody who is in that space to hang in there?
I think one, you got to create space for God to move. So if you're just at a grind and you're feeling fatigued or whatnot, sometimes you just got to do something a little bit crazy, where just take your wife on a date, and you don't have the money, whatever it is. You
Yeah,
do need to create a space of opportunity. For example, this time last year, one of the most wild experiences that I've experienced, because it was somebody that I really admire and look up to as a songwriter. It was just because my wife and I were like, you know what? We're going to put the kids, they're going to get a babysitter. We're going to create some space. We don't know what God's going to do, but we're going to create space.
yeah.
And we did that. We got the kids dropped off. We went to go see one of my favorite bands that I've been longing to see my whole life, Switchfoot, John Foreman, huge
Woo!
fan. And we're singing music to the concert. First time. I've been wanting to see these guys my whole life. My uncle knew them growing up. So I'm like, man, this would just be a great, refreshing thing for me. I go there. Not only do I get to meet my heroes, but per chance, and my wife gets to meet, I talking to John, and the song that we were singing for 4 hours straight driving. I mean, this wasn't a little journey. We're like, the concert's far away. I don't know if we have the time. I don't know if we have the money. I don't know if we can find baby kids to watch the kids, the logistics. We're like, not. We follow through on just to create space for
Yeah,
see what God might do. And that,
yeah.
some may call that like treating yourself, but it's more so just create space. And so we go, we show up. I'm singing this song called If the House Burns Down Tonight. I love the song just because of the season that we were in. And we go down, we show up, we meet John, we talk to John, and then John's just like, "Oh, you're from Hawaii? I have a lot of Hawaiian friends. They're all talented. I bet you could play some music." I was like, "No, no, no. I just came to watch you guys. I'm a huge fan. It's weird that I'm even talking to you." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. You know, like what song? What do you like?" And I was like, "Oh man, I love this one song that you're." He's like, "You want to come up and play with the band and just come up here? Yeah, just come up." And they're just like, and so, dude, so I'm up there and I'm playing, I'm singing with my favorite band, and my wife is right there, and just this, just this great time. And for
Wow.
me, that's what I call just giving space for opportunity to happen. So if you're at a grind, it may just hit you at a left field or whatever it is. Just create an opportunity, like just space, whatever it is. Silence for what might happen. So
Yeah.
that's one, I would say, creating space. And then the other would be reframe your mind of the season. So if you're impatient about like what God's doing, just reframe it. And instead of I'm sitting here, I'm working hard, nothing's happening, it should be reframed as God is teaching me something.
Yeah.
When I meet difficult people, because we all do,
Yeah.
we run into difficult people. It's been my model since a young boy. God is teaching me something through this person. So put the person aside and it's like, what is this teaching me? And then that also just takes away the anxiety and the pressure as well. So if you're in a hard season and nothing's going your way, then you got to change your mind on what's happening. And really, you're going to find that God is using something in a difficulty to teach you something. And maybe you're not learning it, which is why you keep on going the hamster wheel over and over again. So just that gives me a peace about it. So no matter what difficulty, like if I have to go dig a trench in construction or whatever you're doing in your
Yeah.
life, if it's hard, you just go, what am I learning? What, like, this is an opportunity. So just changing those two things, creating space for God to move, and also remembering that every difficulty is something being taught to you, and you're being changed. That takes a whole lot of pressure off of things. Instead of being, why am I in this dark situation? It's like, well, I guess I'm learning. I guess I'm a student today.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I think of Shankar Vedantam. He does a podcast called Hidden Brain. Really cool guy. And he says, compare downward. And so a lot of times we either compare ourselves to people who are on the same level or above to where we want to get to. But he encourages us to compare downwards, because when you do that, you are more grateful for what you have when you see people who have less than you. And so it really is a way of looking at life to say, my situation might be crazy right now, but compared to someone who is lesser fortunate, you're actually in a really good position. And so I kind of love that
Yes.
analogy, just to add to what you put there. I really like that. Chase, talk to me a little bit about the music world. Where are things heading? You know, as a dad, how do you encourage other dads who are out there doing the day to day? You know, you're prepping, you're out there sometimes. The balance between the work and family. How do you keep things going?
Family first. Always. Like always put the family first, and everything else will flow correctly from there. um Ohana first, always. So like I would say that. And then also a career and a business does not care about you, so don't give it the same relationship as you do your loved ones. So
Yeah.
like don't fall in love.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I don't fall in love with the career. I fall in love deeper and deeper with my ohana and my family. And I treat it, I don't strong arm it, but I treat it, it doesn't have the same communion as everything else in my life. I keep it at a
Yeah.
arm's length away, because I feel like so many people, they give it their all and it really hurts them in the end. So just keep it at arm's length and always know that, and then you'll be fine. Because um the business world is treacherous, and even if you're an entrepreneur or whatever you're doing, it's just like you got to know what your first love is.
That's
So
right.
that's what I try to do.
I like that. I like that. I think for as dads, I'm difficult, but I really love your encouragement to keep the family first, because at the end of the day, they are your legacy, and whatever you've invested, or however best you've stewarded them, that's kind of what's going to be reproduced. I really like that.
Yeah, I know that it is hard. Like, I'm not saying that it's not hard as a father, because even doing music, I'll be trying to write something and I'll have my daughter climbing on my head, and
Yeah,
it is hard, but just to always remember not to make it second. Like, even though it's mundane and it's the day to day, it is so much more valuable than anything you're doing at all. So just like little reminders to keep you staying first and foremost. That's how I stay grounded. My wife knows that I kind of get caught down rabbit trails. I'll go through towards the shiny things of life.
yeah.
And she knows that about me, and I'll be like, "Oh, what about this? Or what about that?" And when I ground myself, I go, no, 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 don't go after the shiny.
Come on, come on.
But yeah,
I love the journey. One of the challenges you talked about when you were younger was just building the house for your mom. And I feel like what I'm hearing a little bit of is a lot of building of key relationships throughout your life. Family is important, community is important, people in general are important. And I think if we keep that as a core value in any relationship, then life can only be good to us no matter how hard it gets, because that's what people remember. They remember how you treated them. And in any industry that you are, that's kind of what makes the world go round.
like, I was told this by mentors before me that said the music world specifically is just all relationships. It's all about who you know. And
Yes.
once I heard that, and I was 17 or 18, stuck with me. And I was like, okay, but I didn't really know what that was until me and my brother Carl were playing at Hapuna Beach, just relaxing, playing our music, doing the surfer bum thing. And we literally met a guy from LA that was like, "Man, your music is good. Would you like to, like, what if, do you have anything?" We're like, "No, we don't have anything recorded." And he's like, "Well, if you recorded something, would you send it to me? I'll put it in a movie." And we're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 sure." And 7 months later, he called me up and was like, "Hey, when you took me down to White Peel, like, you're the guys that took us to the waterfalls and the hikes and everything." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Well, Netflix, check it out. There'll be 2 movies coming out and got your music in it." And we're just
Well,
like, and so, like, when you realize it really is, you serve people first, always serve people first, and it'll totally come back. So, like, yeah, like, you really got to focus on relationship. Like, it
that's
really
right.
matters. It really matters, 'cause people remember how you treat them. That's so true. So
And I
true.
mean, I think that's why we're even talking right now. Back in the days where we connected, it was just pure good connection. And, I think God just kind of orchestrated that connection right there. How can people keep in touch with you or follow you guys on this journey, on this road that you're on right now?
Well, if you want, we have our own music called Olelo, just Olelo, the Hawaiian word for speak, if you want to know. But that's kind of the hidden secret in there. But and then my journey is just my name, Chase Kauhane. I do the background stuff, so I'll be in the credits at the end of movies, but it's
Come
better
on,
that way, which is
come on.
great because I'm a dad and I'm a father, and I would rather be behind the scenes and still be able to provide for my Ohana. So
That's
if
right.
any way you could follow me there.
Is there a website? Anything if you wanted people to check out, or if somebody wanted you to write songs, how
Yes,
could you get in touch?
I have a I have a website underneath my name, Chase Call Honey,
Yeah,
and I recently made a film with my brother, and kind of telling this whole story that I kind of briefly shared. Yeah, and we have our music in it. We filmed it. We did everything with it, and just kind of for fun and just to put our heart behind it and put out the struggle, put out everything for
yeah.
people to see, all the nitty gritty and all the nerdy stuff. So yeah, that's just it. If you want to follow the journey, it's just under Chase Call Honey and Olelo. But yeah, we're open book.
Man, I love what you guys are doing. This is amazing. I can't wait to see the final product and when things are out. Myself, I'm writing my first book, which is Awakening the Hero Within. So that's coming out shortly from now. You guys will see a bit more about that as time gets closer to the publishing date. And I think I might be landing in Nashville at some point. So I'll hit you up when I'm over that side.
100%. Do it for sure, man.
Absolutely.
Excited.
Man, it was so good having you on the climb. Appreciate you talking with us and just sharing a bit of your story, helping others in their own climb as they learn through your own journey. Is there any final word you'd want to leave as you encourage others?
Be patient and watch, you know. The times are dark, so it's important to be patient and watch and provide hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Aloha, brother. It was good talking.
Aloha. Mahalo for having me.